Hey, CBC. My name is Mike Patella, and I am the founder of Christian Business Connect. This is our April 5th edition of Meet the Member with Pastor Matt Schuler of Holy Cross, Oxford.
Hey guys, glad to be here.
We appreciate you being here as well. So, I guess, Matt, tell the world who you are, what you do, and everything about Holy Cross right now. Just all.
So I'm Pastor Matt from Holy Cross, Oxford. We are a Lutheran church and Christian preschool up in Oxford. We've been in the heart of the village of Oxford for, more than 75 years. Our preschool's been around for 50 years. And I'll say this, we have a thing in Oxford where you have 2 degrees of separation from Holy Cross Christian Preschool. You either went to Holy Cross Preschool or you know someone who did. So the goal for us really is try to get that same thing to be true for the church, sharing the gospel, sharing the love of Jesus with as many people as you can, where you live, where you play, and where you work. So that's why I'm happy to be a CBC member. That's why I'm involved in our own chamber up in Oxford and try to go to as many places as I can just to be out there and present in the world for Jesus. I am married. I've been married for 14 years this June. I have 4 kids, 13-year-old Rebecca, 8-year-old Ezekiel, 6-year-old Grace, and a newborn Eugene just arrived in January. So my wife Liz is actively engaged in taking care of him, but so am I, and it's exciting to be part of a growing family.
No, that is exciting. My wife and I just had our first. He's just had our first. He's almost a year old now.
There you go.
But yeah, no, I know 1 is challenging enough. So
right, 4 it multiplies. It's exponential.
Oh, I'm sure it's fun, but definitely worthwhile.
For sure.
So you've been at Holy Cross for a while. It sounds like you're doing a lot of good things in your community, creating a lot of essentially brand awareness to a certain extent with the way you're involved. Any exciting things happening at Holy Cross lately, or?
So one of the things we love every year is our VBS. We do a vacation Bible school in the first week after school gets out in Oxford and Orion. The problem right now is we don't know when that's going to be because they haven't approved the days off yet for Lake Orion and Oxford. So we're kind of waiting to announce. But our VBS every year has more than 100 kids. Last year, for the first time, we did a dunk tank where I live streamed from my phone sitting in the dunk tank, and for $5, you would get 3 throws if you were a kid or 1 throw if you were an adult. We ended up being able to donate $750 to our local food bank. We streamed it all live on Facebook. Wow. So the Oxford Orion Fish Food Bank got a nice donation, and I got dunked more than 100 times in about an hour and a half. So that was pretty cool. We'll do that again this summer.
Did your phone survive?
It did. It's waterproof.
Okay.
So I've got
excellent.
I've got the waterproof on it, and I took the case off because I didn't want to damage the case. And
good call.
And I just held it the whole time. And some kids, like the dunk tank's a little janky, so you'd hit it, but it wouldn't actually go. So kids would run up and push it. So that was
sometimes that's more fun.
It works. But so that's probably the big thing coming up for Holy Cross. In terms of community impact, community awareness. But then we're also partnering with some other churches to do multi-church activities. So we've got multi-church men's night, youth nights, women's activities, and just really trying to embrace, instead of competing with other churches, cooperating and doing things together that we couldn't do alone, right? So you've got more access to activities when you're partnering instead of.
And that's the best way to do it. We as Christians and Lutherans especially should be working together, and it's sometimes there's a little bit of a bubble to a certain extent, and that's good that you guys are popping that bubble. We even ran into you in one of your Bible studies at Rochester Mills at our last member hangout. So
So we do a thing called Beers and Bibles, and the first, third, and fifth Tuesdays right now. Details are on holycrossoxford.com, but we meet at Homegrown in Oxford. And then we've partnered with Living Word Lutheran Church, and they do the second and fourth Tuesdays at Rochester Mills. So when you were doing one of the CBC events, I came over and said, hey, as a CBC member, and then popped over into to the Bible study. And really, again, that's just an opportunity to get into the public, to read the Word of God. And we're thankful, right, that we live in a place like we do, where we're not threatened, where we can do it openly and have conversations about Jesus openly and not have to run and hide. And we can do that respectfully and lovingly to our neighbors, and kind of share that. And then anytime, I always say to folks, if you are a Christian in public, don't be a jerk and tip well. So, right? So when you're drinking at the bar and you're having a Bible study, my hope is always that you take care of the bartender or the waiter or the waitress.
They work very hard.
Right? He's taking care of you. So, but yeah, so that's an exciting thing too. Beers and Bibles that we just, we want to be able to invite people to a place that's non-threatening, that's not going to, cause you some grief or cause you some anxiety. Sometimes it's hard to step into the doors of a church, but most people don't really have a problem walking into a brewery.
Sometimes it's preferred,
yeah,
depending on the person, I'm sure.
Yeah.
But,
so
no, that's awesome. So obviously you've explained a lot of different dynamics that you carry in your professional life, being the leader of the church and whatnot. What's your favorite thing about being a pastor and what it is you do?
I would say my favorite thing about being a pastor is modeling the ideal Christian life for other people, that I get paid to talk about Jesus wherever I am and whenever I am, and that I get to walk into those moments that are joy-filled, births, baptisms, but then I also get to walk people through some of those grieving moments. Even this morning, I had an opportunity to go and be with a family in hospice care as they're approaching death's door. But then I get to share hope that this is not the end, that this is an opportunity for the resurrection to be shared, to be celebrated, and ultimately love from God to be received. And so, I'm not a perfect husband, I'm not a perfect father, I'm not a perfect pastor, but when I can live in grace and share that grace with others, that's always something that I find to be the best part about being a pastor.
That's awesome, and that's what people need. They need to see the positive, they need to see the flaws, they need to see all that. So that's tremendous that you do that, and get to interact in the happy moments and make the best of the challenging ones. Mm-hmm. So sticking with the challenging moments for a moment, what is the most challenging thing about what it is you do? Is it dealing with the families on hospice? Mm-hmm. Is it I guess what would qualify as the most challenging aspect?
I would say family, walking through those challenging moments with families and those grieving moments, that puts a toll on your heart, that hits you emotionally, spiritually. But I would say some of the most challenging moments in terms of like thinking through problems or just trying to comprehend the future is this future where the church is no longer at the center of everything, but we're kind of over here on the fringes. Yeah. And so trying to reconceptualize, trying to revision what our churches are able to do. Like, yes, we want to be able to proclaim the gospel. Yes, we want to be able to share Jesus with other people. But how do we do that? And especially when you look at, okay, we've got a church here, a church here, a church here, and we're all kind of facing a future of uncertainty. We're facing a future of diminishing numbers or diminishing attendance or something like that. So what can we ask each other? What can we do with each other that we wouldn't have been able to do on our own? Kind of like those multi-church ministries I was talking about earlier. It used to be every church had a youth group, a men's group, and a women's group. Now we kind of got to partner together if we're going to seek to do those things.
Well, then it's interesting you say that, because at the end of the day, I'm under the belief that everything is a business. Anything that generates revenue, and essentially a church does. And it's, you not only face the challenges of being, the leader of the church, being that example, but being a business person simultaneously and figuring out how do we engage our customers, our members, the community and all that good stuff, how to brand yourself and how to, stay relevant, if that makes sense, because God's always relevant, but You know, the approach always tends to be different. So
Sure.
how do you overcome those challenges? Is it the synergy with the other churches, or are there other secrets to the recipe there?
Well, one of the nice things I think with Holy Cross in particular is I am a little insulated. I don't necessarily have to focus on the bottom line or the revenue drivers, if you will. But we do seek to be really good stewards, so that every dollar that comes in, we're accountable to it. You know where it goes. We're congregationally led, so everything is transparent. Every congregation member can see our budget. You could look and see what I make, and that's totally fine. Nothing is hidden. And the thing that I love most about what we do at Holy Cross is we tithe everything we receive. So, the Christian concept of tithing is God asks for the first fruits, 10%, or, give cheerfully. And so at Holy Cross, if our budget is a certain amount, we give 10% of that to our community, to food banks, to students studying to be pastors, to different things to support outside of our building what's going on. So the joy for me is that whatever we receive, we want to take care of it carefully, but then we also want to, out of our joyful heart, give that away as well.
That's tremendous. That's really awesome.
So two of our students right now we sponsor, who are going to Concordia Seminary in St. Louis. They'll be receiving their vicarage calls, their internship calls, this April. So I'll be leading some prayers for them, that the work they do will be fruitful, and they'll get to learn and continue in the ministry. So it's a real awesome thing to be able to be a part of. And then, on top of that, it's always saying, okay, so if you're a Christian and you want to live, what's your focus and what's your goal? And I think that when we focus on the gifts God has given us instead of on the giver himself, we can lose sight of really the joy that God seeks to impart to us when he gives us those gifts. And we just did a series last week where we were talking about Solomon, and Solomon had everything. He had more than any of us probably put together, but he still lost sight of the giver, and he lost sight of God, and that was what caused the most problems in his life, and then caused the most problems in his kingdom. And so you think about, okay, well, am I focusing on being a Christian in whatever sphere I operate? Am I focusing on gaining stuff or gaining love of God and sharing love of God? So how do I use what I've been given to then bless those around me?
It's definitely the right way to do it. And I appreciate that you are actually executing on that, because it's always easier said than done, as individuals, as businesses, as churches, as communities. So it's really awesome. It sounds like you have a really good thing going on at Holy Cross.
It's exciting, and we're always, at least for me, I'm always trying to figure out how can I share the gospel with one more person. How can we expand the reach of God's love? And part of that is doing it myself, and then part of it is equipping other people and discipling other people to do the same. So you don't have to be fearful. You don't have to be scared. A lot of folks will say, okay, well, I can't share Jesus because I can't articulate all the different doctrines and beliefs. Well, when God tells you always have a reason for the hope within you, the reason for that hope isn't a doctrinal position. It isn't some sort of catechism material. It's always Jesus. The reason for the hope within you is Jesus. His life, his death, his resurrection is a promise to you from God that you will live with him forever. And so that's always my hope. Just share Jesus. Love received is love given.
That's awesome. Any other final news, notes,
No.
tips, suggestions?
No. It's honestly, it's an awesome opportunity to come and talk with you, to see Kelsey. Happy birthday, Kelsey.
Oh yeah, happy birthday, Kelsey.
Come say hi. It's her birthday. They're going out for brunch today, so I'm not going to keep you too much longer.
No worries,
but I'm blessed to be here. I'm blessed to lead the devotional last week, and really just to share in what's going on in the CBC community.
No, we appreciate you being here once again. I highly recommend getting to know Matt if you haven't had that opportunity yet. Tremendous guy, tremendous Christian leader, all the above, and then some. So He is tagged in this post, and for the other viewers, you can go to christianbc.com to learn more. So thank you again.
You're welcome.
Everyone have a great weekend as we work more to be more through Christ. God bless.
See you guys.
Hurry up, Kelsey.